Hello folks, welcome to OTD, also known as On The Deck, where you can get all the sports you need in 10 minutes. My name is Adam Arduna, this is my mom Gina.
He's a journalist.
She's the enthusiast.
I must be enthusiastic about whatever we're talking about because I'm out here in the snow again.
Yeah,
Again.
If you haven't noticed, it is snowing outside. Now granted, it's March,
yes.
So generally that would seem to think that, hey, it's springtime, we're all done with the winter seasons.
Yep.
But that's wrong here in the Midwest because it is always going to be snowing until about May.
Correct.
Really, if you want
you
to
have the potential for a snowstorm until May.
Because a couple years ago we had a huge snowstorm. May 2nd actually was crazy.
2nd and 3rd. Yes.
And schools were canceled, and it was like the end of school season, and so we still had a bunch of snow then. So it's snowing right now. It's March. So this is to be expected in the Midwest. So today, this is going to go along with the weather kind of being boneheaded. We're talking about boneheads of the week.
Weather gets a bonehead this week.
Yes, exactly. So we're talking about the boneheads of the week today. We've got 3 of them. We're going to talk about Ezekiel Elliott. We're going to talk about LeVar Ball, and we're going to talk about Andre Iguodala. Now, these guys are all boneheads for
different reasons.
Different reasons. Generally, they all are for different reasons, but sometimes it's kind of similar.
Similar theme.
But this is all for different reasons, and so we're going to talk about those today. We'll explain it, then we'll rank them, and we'll give our opinions throughout our explanations. These are just some ridiculous ones. One of them in particular, let's talk about Andre Iguodala, because this one is kind of a controversial situation which he's put himself in, but it's been an ongoing thing forever for the most part. And he was in a post-game interview after they lost on Friday, this past Friday, and he got a technical foul, and there was a lot of stuff going on about why they lost in the interview, or the people that were interviewing him in the locker room were asking what happened, what was going on, and he elected to use the saying, what would a dumb N-word say, meaning what would a dumb, instead of saying what would a dumb person say to answer your question, he said, well, what would a dumb N-word say to answer your question? And people were caught off guard because they didn't think he would use that as an answer.
And let's be clear, he used that word a couple of times in the interview.
Right.
And then at the end, he found out he wasn't playing the next day against the Spurs, and he's like, oh, that's news to me.
And it had nothing to do with what he had just said.
But then he went ahead and said, well, you know, we just do what old masters say.
Right.
And it was just like the whole tone of his interview was about him using the N-word and then using a slave reference, slave master N-word. And according to him later on, and even to Steve Curry, it's like this was what he does. He's apparently very quippy and witty and sarcastic, and this was his way of doing that. He was talking about it being inside jokes in the locker room, which I understand. There are things you say behind closed doors. You refer to yourself.
I know, I've said that with other teammates.
Yeah,
there's always inside jokes within the workroom.
We got lots of inside jokes in this house,
everywhere,
but it's not something we're getting ready to put on the deck. So that, you know, the boneheaded thing was the fact that it was not just that he used the N-word, it was how he used it in front of the cameras, and then basically trying to make a mockery of, oh, you know, this is a slave situation, because you're nowhere near being a slave, Andre. I love you, by the way. You're one of my favorites.
Talent, yeah.
But slaves didn't get paid.
Exactly.
Slaves were property. They were not considered men. I was watching Lincoln last night.
Yes, you were.
I was, and it got me all kind of heated, you know, because there is just no place in 2017 for anybody to make any reference to it.
Right.
And that's still a side bonehead for me, is all the people who've been defending the use of the N-word in the black community. You know, that's our word. No, it's not, but we'll talk about that later.
Exactly.
So that's Andre. Who else we got on the list?
Yes, we've got LeVar Ball, who is Lonzo Ball's father, the great superstar freshman for UCLA. He's a 6'6" guard who has really taken over college basketball.
Great.
He's
the kid is great.
Player.
Yes.
He's going to be, you know, a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, in this upcoming NBA draft. He's a really good talent, but his dad has made the headlines recently for all the things he's been saying about his son being better than Steph Curry.
Come on.
There's a recent thing that he said about himself being better than Michael Jordan in his heyday.
But why did he get on the bonehead?
There's another thing that the main reason, well, one of the main reasons, so those are 2 of the reasons, but the third thing that he is, for the most part, solidified him getting on the bonehead list is because he said that he is looking for $1 billion worth of endorsements.
Wait, hold on. Let me pull my weed.
Yeah,
What you said? What?
Yeah, $1 billion.
Oh, okay,
Not million.
Yeah.
$1 billion worth of endorsements, or for whoever would endorse his 3 sons. So Lonzo, then it's LaMelo, and then LiAngelo. For their faces to be the face of whatever
some $1 billion
company,
shoe deal.
some shoe deal or whatever. So
why does he need $1 billion shoe deal? He's got his own brand.
He does.
Big Baller shoe. Big Baller brand shoe. Big Baller basketball. Come on. You don't need $1 billion. You got your own brand. That's what you said.
Exactly.
So hey, get out there. Go find you a little shop. You're in LA.
Yeah,
they got shoe shops on every corner.
I'm sure is
make your own shoe.
Them. So he's on the bonehead list for these 3
for
things.
everything. How about that?
Everything.
But the $1 billion got it today.
Yes, and then lastly, we want to talk about.
And certainly not least.
Yes, Ezekiel Elliott, who is another great talent. All of these guys that we're talking about are great talents. Well, LeVar is just the father.
His kids are great talents.
Have great talent. Well, Ezekiel Elliott is freshly 21 years old. He was a top 3 overall pick in the NFL draft, this last NFL draft.
Basically co-rookie of the year.
Exactly. He helped, everyone knows, if you watch any football, any pro football, he helped Dallas go on a great run.
Well, he was rookie of the year, wasn't he? And then he was co-offensive player of the year.
Well,
not really, but.
Well,
Dak.
Our boy Dak was the offensive rookie in the year, and Ezekiel was up for the NFL MVP and finished second or third in the MVP race. But basically, he was the co-offensive rookie of the year.
Right. Dak brought him up on stage and shared the love with him and all of that.
Which is great. Well, the point with all that being said is that Ezekiel is a great NFL talent. He's a running back. The position has been undervalued for quite some time.
Not anymore.
And now the last couple of years, running backs have really made a big splash, and they've had some really good production out of the running backs.
You can thank DeMarco Murray for that.
Exactly, etc. There have been a lot of really good players lately that have done a good job.
Well, tell them what Zeke did.
Identifying as good running backs. Well, Zeke has been in the news for a lot of different things off the field. Nothing extremely terrible, but a couple things have really been questionable. And like, hey, what's going on here? Well, we all know it's St. Patrick's Day coming up here. And all the cities are doing their St. Patrick's Day parades throughout the weekend and up to the day. And he was at a St. Patrick's Day parade in Dallas, and he was at one of the bars or club in one of the VIP rooftop areas, and he's caught on camera taking a girl's shirt down from her chest and exposing her breasts. And it was just one of those situations where it's like,
not once though, but twice.
What are you doing? You know,
not once.
He didn't lean over and whisper in the ear like, hey, let me see, you know, and she didn't, you know, give the head down like, go for it. He just went over and said, yoink, and her boob came out, and she was caught off guard.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing.
Now, granted, she also was more than willing to expose her chest.
Because she later on did it.
She did it, and there's a video on TMZ caught him doing this, but this is what he was doing. He initiated it first. And so he's been in the news for other things about domestic abuse. He's got a domestic abuse charge on him right now, and that's pending. And so there's other things happening within the news that aren't pertaining to football that are dealing with him. And this is another one of those things where it's like, look, man, you got to be smarter than that. So you just shake your head like, dude, what are you doing?
I can't. So, like, this one could be its own show. I have so much to say to Zeke, but let me just go in on this.
Yeah.
I don't care whether she was going to expose herself later on or not, which clearly she wanted to later or chose to do that.
Yeah.
Even if she had done it first and Zeke stand there next to her pointing at, it's a bad look. You are one of the faces of a $1 billion franchise.
Correct.
People call it America's team. I don't, because I'm a Chiefs fan, but here we go. Point is, you've got to stop doing this kind of stuff.
Correct.
Who is handling him? This is my question. Who was at the club with him who thought this was a good idea? He should have been on the rooftop with 3 boys, 3 dudes, him, his cousin JoJo, and his boy from way down the street. You don't need to be around women at all in public unless you're going to a black tie affair or a red carpet affair and some beautiful woman's on your arm. Other than that, you need to stay away. You don't need to be filmed publicly. You don't need to be doing stupid stuff. So that's why you're on the bonehead list. And we can get into all the misogyny and all that.
I want to say about that, but I'm
no,
just not going
bonehead.
to. But he definitely made the bonehead list because he's not in a position to be doing these types of things.
That was just terrible.
Yes. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and list them off from 3 down to 1?
I hate to even give it, but I'll say my least one this week is LeVar Ball, because he's just stupid. And he's just ignorant, and he's out there. But you know what? I think he's stupid / ignorant like a fox. Because at the end of the day, everyone is talking about him. He's on ESPN, he's on Fox, he's on our show. So he has figured out that whatever comes out of his mouth is going to get some, any press is good press. So he's number 3. I guess I'm going to have to give Andre Iguodala my number 2. I was going to give him my number 1 because that N-word has no place anywhere, and he gets a 2+ for all the people defending it. But number 1 has to be Zeke, because the current climate we're in, when we've had the president of the United States, when he was a candidate, talking about grabbing women. So we just can't tolerate it. It's to be a 0 tolerance. You get the number 1 bonehead. Keep your hands to yourself.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Just get in the pocket.
I'm going to go ditto with that as well. LeVar Ball, at the end of the day, he's still trying to promote his kid.
Right.
So I guess it's in a positive way, even though he's saying some not smart things, in my opinion. But hey, at least he's trying to promote his kids.
Right.
Andre Iguodala, please be smart enough to not use the N-word in public, out in front of the cameras. Don't use it ever in your vocabulary, but just if you're going to use it, do it in your closet with your best friend, somewhere that no one can hear you saying that. And then, yes, Ezekiel Elliott, come on, brother. You're at the precipice of your life, and you don't need any more bad publicity or press. And like we said, I guess any press is good press, but this is not good press.
No,
and
that's actually not true. When you're trying to become famous, any press is good press. When you're already famous, there's such a thing as bad press.
He's getting a lot of bad press, and right now he's got to stop that. It's just not a good look. So
there you go.
Anyways, we just want to say we appreciate you guys for
thanks for staying with us.
We see the festivities with the snow going on, and we got a lot more coming in, so we want to say, again, appreciate your time, and
thanks for joining us.
And thanks for joining us, folks.